So, you've probably heard the term refugee crisis on the news, right? It's a huge topic. Today, we're going to break down what it really means to be a refugee, what forces people to pack up their entire lives and leave, and how the world actually tries to help.
First thing to get our heads around, this isn't new. Not at all. People moving to find safety is a constant part of our human story. I mean, it's been happening forever, from ancient groups fleeing droughts to families escaping wars in the last century. It's a fundamental part of who we are.
Okay, so the word refugee has a very specific meaning, and it's super important we get this right. A refugee is someone who has been forced to leave their country because of war, violence, or persecution. The key word there is forced. This isn't a choice, like moving for a new job. This is about survival, plain and simple.
So, what could possibly be so bad that it makes someone leave everything they've ever known? Let's dive into the main reasons that force people from their homes.
It's rarely just one thing, you know? It's often this complex mix. War is obviously a huge driver. You see that in places all over the news. But it can also be a slower disaster, like a drought that goes on for years and wipes out all the farms. Or an entire economy can just collapse. And sometimes people are forced out just because of who they are or what they believe.
Making that impossible decision to leave? That's just the beginning. What comes next is the journey itself. And honestly, it's often the most dangerous part of the entire story.
I want you to just try and imagine this. You have to leave your home right now, with only what you can grab and carry. That's the reality. Then comes this brutal journey, sometimes walking thousands of miles, facing extreme heat or cold with barely any food or water. The one and only goal is to reach a border, any border, that might mean safety.
But crossing a border doesn't mean the struggle is over, not by a long shot. For millions of people, the next chapter of their lives starts in a refugee camp.
Life in these camps is incredibly tough. We're talking about living in tents with very little electricity or privacy. But in the middle of all that difficulty, something pretty amazing happens. Communities form. People and aid groups work together to set up schools, clinics, and markets. Some of these camps actually grow so large they're basically the size of small cities.
Now here's a fact that might actually surprise you. Most refugees don't travel to distant, faraway countries. The vast majority end up in countries that are right next door to their own. And why is that? Oh, it's pretty simple, really. They are holding on to the hope that one day it will be safe enough to go back home.
A crisis on this scale is just too big for any one country to handle alone. It absolutely requires a global team effort. So let's take a look at who steps up to help.
You can think of it like two main layers of support. On one hand, you have the big international organizations. They coordinate huge aid efforts, delivering food, running schools, you name it. But then you have the local host communities. These are the towns and villages right on the front lines. They offer the first welcome, even when their own schools and hospitals get stretched thin. Both are absolutely crucial.
But this global response isn't just about charity. It's also about international law. After World War II, countries got together and created something called the 1951 Refugee Convention. This was a huge deal. It's a critical agreement that lays out the basic rights of refugees and what nations need to do to protect them. It's really the foundation of the whole system we have today.
But what about the people who can never go home? What happens when the war doesn't end, or it's just not safe to go back? The goal then becomes finding a new, permanent place to rebuild. Let's see what that looks like. One of the long-term solutions is something called resettlement. This is a formal, organized process where a refugee is moved from that temporary camp to a different country that has agreed to let them come and live there permanently. It's a chance to finally, truly start over.
But arriving in a new country is just the start of another huge journey: integration. Just think about it. You have to learn a whole new language, figure out a new culture, find a job, make new friends, all at once. It's a massive challenge, and it takes real effort from both the new arrivals and the communities that welcome them.
Especially for young refugees who've seen so much, school is more than just a place for reading and math. It's a safe space. It's stability in a world that's been turned upside down. It's where they learn the skills for their future, and maybe most importantly, it's where they can start to find hope again.
So from the reasons people have to flee to that long, hard journey toward a new life, the story of a refugee is one of incredible strength and resilience. But it also leaves all of us with a really big question. How can we, as a global community, build a world where everyone has a safe place to call home so that no one has to become a refugee in the first place? It's a really important question to think about.